So I had some.
No problem, Maharaj. Yes, it's all right.
One second. I'm just trying to find out where I left it off. So this is July, no? So is it possible to see card? TK, let us see. Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupine avatar varishthaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Sritva Pranamami Muhurmuh Namasri Yatinajaya Vivekananda Suri Satchit Sukasvarupaya Swamini Tapaharini. So, so Sri Ramakrishna and Master Misha, their wonderful conversations, that's what we are discussing about. So, Thakur tells him about the practice of discrimination, viveka. Actually, this is an extraordinary discipline at all points of time. You see, only the one who discriminates really takes the right decisions and succeeds also. Because unless you really discriminate between right and wrong, what is ethical and what is not ethical, what is moral and what is immoral, at every point of time in our lives, this is a very important discipline which will help us in deciding the right way. So, Sri Ramakrishna asks, discrimination, what is there in money or in anything, a beautiful body, etc. If you really discriminate, you will find that there is nothing admirable in all this. And everything goes after some time. Everything is impermanent. Everything is temporary. So obviously, this is a way one can really get rid of the attachment for all those things. Now, supposing we are very much attracted to something, some food or some money or some goods, some comfort, something, let's throw this light of discrimination in that direction, automatically it will be revealed that what we are trying to have or achieve or possess is something which is very, very temporary and really not worth all the trouble at all. It's not going to be there after some time. And whatever we possess, whatever we acquire, whatever we do, it's going to vanish after some time. And why bother so much? So that is how a person can discriminate and kind of get rid of all this to some extent. But then at the same time, it is also necessary to have the attachment or desire for God or something higher. Actually, spiritual discipline, spiritual life, actually it's a twofold path. See, on one side, in a negative way, you have to get rid of or give up whatever that binds us, whatever that afflicts us, whatever that attracts us, whatever that makes us bound and so on. That's one thing. On the positive side, we should have love for God, love for a deep spiritual life, love for all that. Otherwise, that's why, they say quite often this is a dilemma. Right? A monk very beautifully put it. Monks have a lot of vairagya, but very little love for God. So they are struggling. Many householders have love for God, but very little vairagya. So only if you combine both, only if you have both, it's possible to progress in spiritual life. Only one alone will not do, because many of those who are living in Himalayas and other places, they have certainly a certain degree of vairagya. They have given up, they don't care, they don't want. But what is received through that vairagya, the impetus, is it channelized in a positive direction as love of God? Unless that happens, this vairagya will not be very effective or will not be very useful. Similarly, People, many have lot of love for God. If you see, even in many householders, we have seen in their houses, the beautiful way they worship Sri Krishna, they care for him, the Balagopala and all that. Many have deep devotion. But unless the devotion has the tinge of vairagya, it's coated with vairagya, it will not turn you away from the worldly things. Otherwise, on one side, you will try to have devotion and also have a lot of participation in the world, and that will not take us much far. So both are very necessary. So again, obviously, a question which Master Shade asked many times, a lot number of times, is it possible to see God? Later on, it's not only in the first occasion. In fact, many times, even after coming to Sri Ramakrishna for years, he was asking this question. Because you see, he saw Sri Ramakrishna, his tremendous love for God, that intense desire to be with God all the time, so to say, and combined with tremendous vairagya. So when you see such a living example in front of you, you feel kind of overawed, You was thinking, where am I? Is it possible for ordinary people to have the vision of God, or is it possible to realize God? Because I find here is, if you see Sri Ramakrishna's life, and if you are nearby, and really was awestruck, so to say. So he was really confused. And several times he'd asked this question. And invariably, Sri Ramakrishna would always give the same answer, of course, in various minor modifications. Every time he would add one, he would substitute with something else and so on. So he says it's possible. Living in solitude now and then, repeating God's name and singing his glories, and discrimination between the real and the unreal, these are the means to employ to see him. Yes, if you see all that, what else is left? He has said everything. These are the means. What he has said in one sentence, in lifetime it is difficult to achieve all this together. Living in solitude now and then, repeating God's name, singing his glories, everything, discrimination between real and unreal, all that a spiritual aspirant has to do, in one sentence he has said everything. Anyway, under what conditions does one see God? Cry to Lord with an intense yearning heart, and you certainly see him. People shed a whole jug of tears for wife and children. They swim in tears for money. But who weeps for God? Cry to him with a real cry. So he sang, cry to your mother Shyama with a real cry. How can Shyama hold herself from you? Dakar motan dakle Shyama kikore takte bari. How can your mother Kali hold herself? If you are in earnest, bring her an offering of bay leaves and hibiscus flowers. In Gita also Sri Krishna says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prechati. So the God does not want. What does he, how would God ask? Because the whole world is his. You are only Ganga Jale Ganga Puja, they say. You take Ganges water and offer puja to Ganga. Many do. Ganges after taking bath, you take Ganga water and offer Arghya or offering to Mother Ganga. So in the same way, if you believe the whole creation is God's, what can you give? So as a symbol, whatever you give is enough. But really, what is needed is whether you really want him, are you really offering him with that attitude? These are the things that really count. Lay at your feet your offering, and with it mingle the fragrant sandal paste of love. That sandal paste of love is what really adds fragrance to that. Your deep love for God, your prema, that is what makes that offering extraordinary. Otherwise, there is nothing in it. Whole world is his. What can you offer to him? Nothing. But whatever you offer, so this is a component which you have added apart from his creation. Because in a sense, you are also God's creation, and whatever you create is also his, you can say indirectly. But bringing it out, the deep love for God, coating those offerings with that love of the sandal paste of love for God, that is what that offering is made fragrant, and that becomes dear to God. Longing is like the rosy dawn. After the dawn, out, out comes the sun. Longing is followed by the vision of God. Longing is like a distance in the horizon. You see the crimson sky, meaning thereby that sun is about to come. You get an indication. The same way, if you have deep longing, that will be followed by the vision of God. God reveals himself to a devotee who feels drawn to him by the combined force of three attractions. The attraction of worldly possessions for the worldly man, child's attraction for its mother, and the husband's attraction for the chaste wife. If one feels drawn to him by the combined force of these three attractions, then through it one can attain him. So he does not restrict. Probably in the world, these are the three strongest attractions one can imagine. Of course, Thakur belongs to a little slightly earlier period. Probably there will be some other thing now. But still, essentially, a person's deep love for the husband's deep attraction for a chaste wife and worldly man's attraction for possessions. Even now it is true. Even quite often we also see that Krishna Mission gets largely donations from middle class and lower middle class, that kind of people, even when we advertise for relief. It's not that the rich always give. So the richer you are, quite often they are more attached to your money and wealth and all that. So they are terribly attached. Similarly, the child, because the child has no other support. When it's young, mother is his only support. And see, actually, each kind of attraction has a little different dimensions. A worldly man's attraction for wealth is because largely this is whatever he possesses, everything. He has so much desire for all the possessions of the world, the goods, the money, power, wealth, articles, items, etc. So the fear of losing them, because he's so attached to them, this one thing. The same way, the child also often always clings to mother because it has no other support, and he feels that if I lose her, everything is gone. Similarly, the chaste wife's husband, his feelings towards. In all the three, there's a hidden fear of loss. What happens if this is lost? This is so dear, so important for me. So that kind of the attraction, which is tremendously based on the fear of loss, that type of love, all the three combined together, imagine the force of such a love. How one should feel that I must possess God at any cost, and not only that, at no point should God be lost. It is necessary to create him with a longing heart. The kitten knows only how to call its mother, crying mew mew. It remains satisfied wherever its mother puts it. And the mother cat puts the kitten sometimes in the kitchen, sometimes on the floor, sometimes on the bed. When it suffers, it cries only mew mew. That's all it knows. But as soon as the mother hears his cry, wherever she may be, she comes to the kitten. So, this is the instance of how a person who is deeply dependent on God, how he or she will be protected. See, the kitten is kept by the cat in various places. It never says, oh, why are you keeping me in a dirty place? It doesn't protest. Simply it lies wherever the mother keeps it. So the idea is the kitten knows that my mother is keeping me in such a place so that at any point of time, the moment I call her, she's going to respond. So she feels so absolutely safe and secure. She has kept me in such a place, whether it is in the oven, amongst ashes, or in some other place, or on the bed, or on the floor, wherever it is, the only criteria, it knows that the moment I call, she is going to respond. And that is its tremendous sense of comfort and safety. That's why if any problem, it doesn't look this way or that way, only calls on the mother, mews, and the mother comes running. So in the same way, if we feel that way towards God, wherever he has placed me in this world, whatever be the circumstances, however difficult it might be, however unpleasant it might be, whatever it might be, the only criteria is, imagine what a wonderful attitude Sri Ramakrishna is teaching us. If only we feel that we are like that kitten, wherever we are, it is because God has kept us in a place so that the moment we call him, he is going to respond. The moment we call mother, she is going to respond. I have been in kept such a place by mother or God so that my cry, my call reaches him or her immediately. That sense of complete safety and dependence at God. Do you feel completely dependent that way? Do you feel absolutely assured and safe that this is the best place, the best circumstances which I can imagine, so that God has kept me so as to respond to my call immediately? That is the safety valve. That's the safety point. If you feel that way, then obviously it's a wonderful state of mind. It was Sunday afternoon when Yam came on his third visit to the master. He had been profoundly impressed by his first two visits to this wonderful man. He had been thinking of the master constantly, and in the utterly simple way he explained the deep truths of spiritual life. Never before he had met such a person, such a man. Obviously, Thakur's simplicity, the language, what a beautiful, simple language he uses, was deeply impressed. So he started coming more frequently. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in a small coach. The room was filled with devotees who had taken advantage of the holiday to come and see the master. Generally, on holidays, more people would come. Yam had not yet become acquainted with any of them. So he took his seat in a corner. The master smiled as he talked with the devotees. He addressed his words particularly to a young man of 19 named Narendranath. He was seeing Narendra for the first time. He was a college student and frequented the Sadharan Brahma Samaj. His eyes were bright, his words were full of spirit, and he had the look of a lover of God. Swamiji's eyes. It's a very beautiful song. Padda Palashana Lochana. Kere Padda Palasha Lochana. Sharada Indu Nindita Charu Bhuvana Mohana Anana. Very beautiful song about Swamiji. Padda Palasha Lochana. It's like that flower, lotus flower. That was his eyes. So beautiful. Yam guessed that the conversation was about worldly men who look down on those who aspire to spiritual things. The master was talking about the great number of such people in the world and about how to deal with them. Master Narendra, how do you feel about it? Worldly people say all kinds of things about the spiritually minded. But look here, when an elephant moves along the street, any number of curs and other small animals may bark and cry after it. The elephant doesn't even look back at them. If people speak of ill of you, what will you think of them? So Sri Ramakrishna was always something deep in whatever he did. He knew that this person is going to be a world preacher. He was kind of preparing. Obviously, he is going to hear a lot of criticism, apart from a lot of praise and accolades. So he was asking, how will you deal with them? His own attitude was, be like an elephant who walks majestically, completely ignoring the barks of dogs and etc., etc. Absolutely unmindful, doesn't care, because it is so strong and so mighty. It's not bothered. But Sri Ramakrishna says, I should think that dogs are barking at me. So when people speak ill of you, he says, Sri Ramakrishna says, oh, no, you mustn't go that far, my child. God dwells in all beings, but you may become intimate only with good people. You must keep away from the evil-minded. So you keep away, ignore them, but don't have any terrible negative attitude to anybody like, oh, they are dogs barking at me, because ultimately everything is God's creation. Even the wicked, even the scoundrels, the immoral people, moral people, everything is God's creation. There's a purpose. God has created various kinds of people. Otherwise, if there are no wicked people, who would admire the good people? All our goodness, all our greatness is there because there are people who are wicked and who are not so moral, etc. That's why we are all become Mahapurushas. So obviously, there is a purpose in God creating various kinds of people. There is a meaning. So don't have any kind of a negative attitude towards anybody. It's all God's creation, but you can ignore them. You need not embrace them. God is even in the tiger, but you cannot embrace the tiger on account of them. Bhag mein to, in that also there is tiger is also God, but you can't embrace. You may say, why run away from a tiger which is also manifestation of God? The answer is, those who tell you to run away are also the manifestation of God, and why shouldn't you listen to them? Then he gives that famous story where brahmacharis were coming, the guru had taught them in the class that everyone is Narayana, I should worship them. Then a mad elephant came and all others ran away, but these boys started chanting slokas. The Mahant said, oh, go, run away, a mad elephant is coming. He didn't listen because the teacher had said, Narayana resides everywhere. Then the elephant took it by his trunk and threw him hard on the floor and he was lying unconscious. Then his disciples came and then they took him to the ashrama. And then when he regained his consciousness, the elephant was coming. Why didn't you leave? But it is our teacher told us that God himself has taken all these forms. Therefore, I thought it was only the elephant God that was coming. I didn't run away. Then the teacher said, yes, my child, it is true that the elephant God was coming. But the Mahut God forbade you to stay. We have asked you to go away. Why didn't you trust the Mahut's word? Should have heeded to the words. So, sometimes our devotion, our all that should not make us. Thakur always says, Bhaktole bhoka bhikan. If you are a devotee, why should you become a fool? Don't be like that. So one has to be practical. When both are there, our attitudes, etc., should not land us into trouble. When Thakur says, oh, everything is okay, I will not protest. And if an immoral person approaches you and asks you to do something immoral, will you do that? No. So one has to have, that's why the idea of discrimination between what is real and unreal, what is good and what is bad, what is moral and what is immoral, all these things, obviously come into play. It is said in the scriptures that water is a form of God. Apo Narayan, water is God. But some water is fit to be used for worship, some water for washing face, and some only for washing plates or dirty linen. So there's good water, water for bathing, water for drinking, water for washing, etc. The last sort cannot be used for drinking or for a holy purpose. That which is used for washing dirty linen or plates can't be used for drinking or for puja, etc. So, all are water only. Apo Narayan means Narayana is there in all forms of water. Then will you use the dirty water for worshipping? Obviously, that cannot. So, you see, that's why when Thakur Swamiji also talks about this idea of practical Vedanta, etc. Vedanta is true. The highest idea is true. God is prevalent, consciousness is prevalent everywhere. That idea is good. At the same time, one has to use one's discrimination while living in the world. What is right, what is wrong, what is to be done, what is to be not done. Kim kartavya. Kim karma, kim akarmeti kavyo patra mohitaha. Gita says. So the confusion, what is to be done and what is not to be done. This idea should be very strong. In a like manner, God undoubtedly dwells in the hearts of all, holy and unholy, righteous and unrighteous. But a man should not have dealings with the unholy, the wicked, the impure. He must not be intimate with them. With some of them he may exchange words, but others he shouldn't go even that far. He'll keep aloof from such people. Because, see, we are all good or bad because of the company that we keep. If we live amidst immoral people, impure people, people who are not ethical and moral and so on, slowly we will also fall a prey to those practices, etc. Those samskaras will catch us. So in order to protect oneself, if we are spiritual aspirants, we must take care of all these things so that we don't fall a victim to all that. A devotee, sir, if a wicked man is about to do harm or actually does so, should we keep quiet then? Again, another story Thakur will say, if a wicked person comes and beats you, oh, you are Narayana, please beat me, doesn't matter. Will you say so? Thakur says, a man living in society should make a show of tamas to protect himself from evil-minded people. He must show, he must pretend to be angry, he must pretend to be like that. But there should not be any real anger, should not harm anybody. In anticipation, likely, supposing, oh, this person might harm me, you cannot, go ahead and straight away harm the other person in order to protect yourself. No. It's just when something happens or when it's about to happen, you must definitely use for discretion and show a sign of anger whereby you protect yourself. Just to protect yourself, you can do that amount of, show that amount of anger or displeasure or anything, but only to protect yourself. Not to harm anybody or not to even harbor. See, that's people often ask the question, how to get rid of anger. Then how do people who chastise the parents who punish their children, or the teachers who punish their children, or the society, see, police who take action and all that. Is it anger good? Is it unspiritual? No. See, if you do anything which the situation demands, that's okay. But that should not leave in your mind that vairi bhav. Under any circumstances, again I will only take action. Again I remember, next time you see you did such and such and such and such time, bringing it back again. That is not good. That one should not do. The idea that so-and-so did harm to me, being reminded of that, harboring that enmity or that kind of feelings towards anybody, that is to be avoided. That is not proper. Otherwise, it does not matter. In certain circumstances, one has to take action. The police will have to catch the thief, will have to hand out punishment. But does he do it after a sense of duty? Or even during that, does he develop personal animosity, hatred, a sense of pride that I am punishing so-and-so? All those things are unspiritual, are not good for one's spiritual life. Okay. That's why again he tells the famous story how the cowherd boys used to tend cows in a meadow. There was a snake, very poisonous. It used to threaten, and they all ran away in fear. Then one day one brahmachari came and he said, no, why do you do like this? I will tell you a mantra and then you will feel uplifted. Then after that, it lay at his feet like an earthworm. Look here, why do you go about doing harm? I will give you a holy word. By repeating it, you will learn to love God. Ultimately, you realize Him and so get rid of violent nature. So they started repeating. Then it gave up all its habits. It would eat only at right times when nobody's around. It would come out and eat some fruits and leaves, etc. And the children, they started coming near. They're not biting them anymore. They started throwing stones, and then one day they caught hold of it and rolled it around, and threw it violently on the floor and thought it is dead and left. And they all disappeared. After some time, the brahmachari came back again. Then, meanwhile, it slowly regained its consciousness and went into its hole. Its bones were broken and it could scarcely move. And then it had given up doing harm to others. After a year later, the brahmachari came back and asked about the snake. And they all said, no, the cowherd boy told it was dead. But he couldn't believe because the mantra that he had given, he would not die, the snake would not die before attaining the fruit of the holy word with which he had been initiated. So again, he called out and the snake came slowly out of his hole and bowed before him with great reverence. How are you? Asked the brahmachari. I am well, sir. But the teacher said, why are you so thin? The snake replied, Reverend sir, you ordered me not to harm anybody. So I have been only living on fruits and leaves. Perhaps that has made me thinner. See, it has developed such a quality of sattva, it did not even remember that these boys had almost beaten it to death. it becomes so sattvic. What a wonderful story. There's no remembrance, no enmity. And then one said, no, it can't be merely that. Something else. Think a little. Then the snake remembered that the boys had dashed it against the ground. Idiot said, now I remember. How could they know that I wouldn't bite them? What a shame. You're such a fool. You don't know how to protect yourself. I asked you not to bite. I didn't forbid you to hiss. Why did you scare them by hissing? So Sri Ramakrishna uses the word. You must hiss at wicked people, but frighten them lest they should harm you. But never inject your venom into them. One must not injure others. So it's very, very beautiful. Of course, practically it's not very easy to do exactly like this, but at least this idea says when people are like that, you can show some sign of anger or remorse or whatever it is, so that they don't trouble you, they are away from you, they go away and all that, but don't harm them. And not only that, more importantly, we always leave the residual anger, hatred, animosity, etc. inside us. That should not be there. That is the worst part of it. And sometimes in certain circumstances, get angry with people. There may be some misunderstanding in the world. When you deal with so many people, you're all working in ashrama, something happens, you're angry. But then and there, after that, one should go talk nicely, apologize or make amends and this and that. Mend fences and say that, no, it's gone. It is purely temporary for just that moment. Forget it. That magnanimity one should have. The ability to forgive and forget. Otherwise, one can never do sadhana. If in our heart we treasure deep animosity or hatred or anger towards anybody, it's not possible to sit down and think of God with a mind which is free from any disturbance. It will come back. So best is go, meet, square off, tell everything. It's all done. Something was momentary. Please don't take it to heart. And then from our side, we are absolutely free. He says, in this creation of God, there is a variety of things. Men, animals, trees, plants. Among the animals, some are good, some bad. There are ferocious animals like tiger. Some trees bear sweet as nectar. Others bear fruit that is poisonous. Likewise, amongst human beings, there are good and wicked, the holy and the holy. There are some who are devoted to God and others who are attached to the world. So, Thakur says, they all will be there. The variety is the beauty of God's creation. Every kind you will find. It's all, if you ultimately agree and you hold this strong belief that it's all God's creation, He only has done it. So obviously there is no scope for our disagreeing or our feeling otherwise and all that. Learn to accept it's all His creation. We do not know how many things can we really explain in this world. Why such and such thing is there? Why it is happening? Why some people are born that way? Why some are born deaf, some blind, some this, some autistic, this and that? We have any answer? No. One might say karma phala. It's all very kind of, you can say, lame excuse. We have no better explanation. That's why we say karma phala. It's okay. So, whatever it is, but the people who are actually dealing with such situation, they feel a terrible sense of injustice. We are good, we are holy, we are noble, we have done anything never bad in our life. Why should we suffer? So anyway, one has to understand slowly the law of karma, how it operates and all that. But yet, it's first and foremost in God's creation, there is a sense, there is a purpose, there is some correlation, some connection between all that we see. We are unable to figure out the how and why of several things. But this much if we understand, it's all God's design. There's a deep purpose and meaning in all this. Then probably we'll be able to deal with life's situations. When something negative happens to us, and someone known to us passes away, we lose something, we gain somewhere, something happens, someone hurts us, we get something. All that can be largely addressed, understood, and managed if only we have everything in the overall, in that framework. It's all God's creation. Then whatever happens, there is a purpose, there is meaning, there is design. For the time being, I am unable to understand it. But if I have the basic idea, it's God's design, I try to get along with it, and slowly one would find an answer, or at least one would find a way out of all those situations. So Thakur again says, men may be divided into 4 classes: those bound by the fetters of the world, the seekers after liberation, the liberated, and the ever free. Somebody will give a very more detailed description. Again, of course, he's coming slowly to it. Those among the ever free, we may count sages like Narada. They live in the world for the good of others, to teach men spiritual truth. The ever free, the Nitya Siddhas, sages like Narada, they are not attached, they are not bound to anything. They live in this world only to teach others. So there's no question of bondage for them. There's no question of bondage due to karma for them, because they are ever free. They are like that. They never do anything which would bring them bondage again. They always do only good to others. They are aware and constant touch with God or the supreme truth or the ultimate. So there's no question of they're ever getting into the meshes of Maya or the meshes of karma and again suffering subsequent births and all that. They are here for a purpose. Any moment they can go. They are ever free. They are not bound at all. Among those, and then he goes to the other extreme, those in bondage are sunk in worldliness and forgetful of God. Not even by mistake do they think of God. You see such people also. Perhaps a vast majority of the people of the world belong to this category. They're completely sunk in worldliness and they are forgetful of God. Not even by mistake they think of God. Every day, again going through the same rigmarole, same routine, eating, sleeping, drinking, again this, again fight, again patching up, again fight, again going out. Same routine. Every second day fight, every third day going out, every fourth day again patching up. It goes on and on, ever free, never thinking of anything else. So to any problem, difficulty, suffering, fight, then one lollipop in the terms of some eating or some going out or some buying or selling or something, then again back to the same routine. So they think that this is all they are to do in this world. They are the supremely bound people. Now the problem is, see, for them also life is in a sense a misery, because what a terrible life it is. Every day you fight, the very next day you are okay, then the third day something else, again back to. So life is so unsteady and so meaningless. Absolutely. Those, the seekers after liberation, want to free themselves from attachment to the world. Some of them succeed and others do not. They are the mumukshu jivis. The nitya jiv or the baddha jiv or mumukshu jiv are those who seek after liberation. They know they are bound. They want to get free. They have understood. That much awakening has come in them. They have seen the way of the world. They have suffered much. They have seen others suffer. They have understood to some extent at least the impermanence of the world, all its difficulties. They want to get liberated also. They try, but some succeed and some they keep on struggling. It doesn't happen in this life. Maybe it will continue in the life after. And then the liberated souls, such as sadhus and mahatmas, are not entangled in the world in women and gold. Their minds are free from worldliness. Besides, they always meditate on the lotus feet of God. What is this fourth category? Fourth category, they are not ever free. They were born like others in the world. Maybe they also had samskaras. They also had the effects of previous births of karma, etc. But by dint of sadhana, by doing intense sadhana and thinking about constantly, slowly they advance in spiritual life and realize the goal of life, namely realizing God. They are no longer entangled in the world or in kamini kanchan. They are free from worldliness because they always think of the lotus feet of the Lord. So they are not like ever free, the Nitya Siddhas, because unless they are careful, they can again get entangled. So once you do sadhana, once you realize God, post that also, you must lead a life so that you are not caught in this world again. Not only that, some people even after a small little here and there if they get, they think that they have got everything, and they started behaving that way, and they get a terrible blow, and they sunk to abysmal depths. We see some of the people in the world, now and then we hear some news, someone who is so popular, so did and that, some this Baba, that Baba, suddenly something emerges, and they're arrested and put to jail and all that. What is all that? Due to sadhana or due to something, they might have got some little glimpse, something like that. And they thought, we have got everything. And they started using it to the tilt. Then they digress, they go out of the way, they do something which is not proper, something which is not moral or ethical. And then the slide continues, they go down and down. And once you start violating, then you lose the sense of any kind of hesitation or lajja, gruna, bhaya, shame, fear, everything would go. Thakur uses one very example, of course, we are not to condemn anybody or anything like that. The previous, those Yuga, there were people used to, the scavengers, they used to carry on their head the human feces, etc. So because of that, doing it day after day, they have lost a sense of, that kind of smell for all that. It's very, very natural for them. Like, so if you want to digress, then, it becomes very easy to do it again and again. And then people go down in their life. The first time, that's why one has to be very careful and protect oneself. If you indulge in anything which is prohibited, which is not good, which is not proper for spiritual life, which is not ethical, moral, etc., the first time it's very, very difficult. But the moment you digress or deviate or default, after that it becomes a free fall. That person commits again and again, because then he becomes fearless, shameless, etc. And then the downfall is very fast. So then he gives that famous example. Supposing a net has been cast into a lake to catch fish, some fish are so clever that they never caught in the net. They are like the ever free. The fisherman, he casts the net. There are fish. So he says, oh, see, such a big fish is going. Because it comes nowhere near the net. Simply, it's quite far away. The net even does not even attract them. But most of the fish are entangled in the net. The moment then they're all there. Some of them try to free themselves from it. They are like those who seek liberation. Some fish, they try to free themselves. But not all the fish that succeed are like that. If you jump out, making a big splash in the water, then the fishermen shout, look, there goes a big one. They are like the liberated ones. They struggled, got out of this enmesh of this world of Maya and all the attractions, everything. They got liberated and they ran away. Not that they were not caught. They are not like the ever free or Nitya Siddhas. They were also like that. So these are the people whom we can emulate, whom we can copy, whom we can try to do. They were also in the world. They were born. They had their samskaras maybe. But by dint of sadhana, they got liberation and they escaped this Maya or the samsara, the ocean of samsara, the net of Maya. So they are the liberated one. And then mumukshus are still striving. But most of the fish caught in the net cannot escape, nor do they make any effort to get out. They are like the Baddhajeev. They are caught in this world. They are suffering. They are suffering blows maybe on a daily basis. Still they don't develop any awareness. No hush. Thakur says, man hush. The person who has hush, he is a real man or a human being. Jar hush ache, say manush. So who has awareness, who is aware of the world, the dangers, the drawbacks, the necessity to get out of this. So those fish, they burrow into the mud with their net, their mouths, and lie there quietly thinking, we need not fear anymore, we are quite safe here. But the poor things do not know that the fishermen will drag them out with a net. These are like the men bound to the world. They are the real Baddhajeev. They are in a terrible state, but they think they are wonderful. They criticize those who practice religion, those who go to temple or ashramas or meet spiritual people and all that. Oh, it's all foolish. What do you get there? But what you get? Only suffering day after day. For one small little lollipop, you have 100 other sufferings you have to undertake, but still they are satisfied. The bound souls are tied to the world by the fetters of woman and gold, Kamini Kanchan. They are bound hand and foot, thinking that Kamini Kanchan will make them happy and give them security. They do not realize that it will lead them to annihilation. When a man thus bound to the world is about to die, his wife asks, "You are about to go, but what have you done for me?" Again, such is attachment to the world. When he sees the lamp burning brightly, he says, "Dim the light. Too much oil is being used," and he is on the deathbed. He is about to die. He is worried. The wick is consuming too much of oil. Lessen the wick. Make it less bright. So all their life they live like that and die very worthless life. So what is the point? The bound souls never think of God. If they get any leisure, they indulge in idle gossip and foolish talk, or they engage in fruitless work. If you ask one of them for reason, the answer is, "Oh, I cannot keep still, so I am making a hedge." When time hangs heavy on their hands, they perhaps start playing cards. Oh, sharp is his observation. He says, the bound souls, even by mistake, they will not call on God or do anything spiritual. They are only busy doing something useless. And if you, "Why are you doing this?" "Oh, I can't keep quiet. I have to do something." Such is the restless mind. Even by mistake, they never even think of God. There is deep silence in the room. What will they say? Many of them know, when you sit in front of such an extraordinary personality, the truth dawns, immediately there is an reflection. What am I doing? What is happening in my life? Are we doing anything real, anything purposeful? Obviously, they only have to be in deep silence. Of course, those who came, many of them got immense help, and they also obviously progressed much in spiritual life. So we can only pray to Sri Ramakrishna that our attachment and our worldliness, our desire for goods and other things, all those things might lessen, and we may develop love for God so that we can practice more seriously. That's all we can do. That's all is within our powers. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. So I leave a few minutes for those who want to ask questions. Anything you want to ask, can. Otherwise, we meet next month. Yes, some hand is going up.
Yeah, Maharaj, I wanted to know the Ukraine war or the war in Hamas in Israel. Would you call them dharma yudh, or how? I mean, as you said, people should forgive, and not keep. So how would you compare that with the wars?
So you see, all those whatever we talked about, they're all just at the individual level, at my personal level. Supposing you are also a soldier fighting in that war, supposing you come back to barracks or you come back to your country, should not hold animosity about the people with whom you fought. So all that is at the individual level. Collectively, between nations and all that, some kind of karma, something is working on. It's very difficult to explain whatever is happening in this world. It's not possible. The world that is why it's called Maya. Anirvachaniya. It cannot be explained. It's beyond words. What would you say? Both the countries are so poor, backward economically. People are dying for basic want of the necessities of life. Instead of addressing that, they are fighting and spending millions and billions of dollars. It's tragedy. So it cannot be, nothing can be said about all that. It's absolutely meaningless war. Why should it all happen? Because it has always been, the world has always been like that. Between the Devas and Asuras, we hear in the Puranas the war that happened. So we cannot kind of, indulge ourselves, or we cannot really find solution to all that. Whatever comes within our ambit, wherever we are, whatever we are concerned, we can only attend to that much. These are all in a larger interest, you may just discuss for fun, this and that. But really we can't say with finality, this is right, that is wrong, why it should be so on and so forth. It's not possible for us to comment at all. We can only do that much. We can take care of our life and that much. Nothing more beyond that.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. Our life, our life is precious. We have very little time in the world. In the given time, we should work out our life. We should do intense sadhana so that we are free from this bondage of again and again taking birth in this world. We can work for that. That much is within our powers. Would anyone else ask anything? No. Yes, Juma, then we close. I have another class. Huh?
Okay, Maharaj. Thank you so much, and our pranams to you, and thank you for your time and attention, Maharaj.
Again, the August first week, God willing, we will meet. Namaskar.
Yes. Pranam, Maharaj. Please take us.
Pranam Maharaj.